So I will share my screen. Okay. Yeah. So you are able to see the screen, right? The whiteboard and others.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll start our discussion. Okay, so last class, if you remember, you see, so we have seen some interesting problems. One is, this stepped column. Yeah. So the stepped columns we have seen, and how to do the things. So the equation of equilibrium you have to write for each portion. Then you have to ensure the continuity, say, of deflection, slope, and sometimes you say bending moment and shear force also, and then you solve also. Then we have also seen, you see, the beams on the elastic foundation. So here also we have seen the most important thing is, you see, first mode is not the the lowest mode. Okay, is is not the lowest one. Sometimes depending upon the foundation stiffness, say, your second mode or third mode, say, they become very important actually. So your beam may buckle in higher modes. Okay, so because the buckling load in the higher modes may be less than the first mode itself, or the kind of a thing. So this also is a very important, you see, the derivation. Okay, so finally now let us go to the self buckling actually. So last class I already gave you introduction. Okay. So the self-buckling set is also a very important problem, buckling under its own weight. Okay, under its own weight kind of a thing. So this is you see a very important problem in many disciplines, not only in civil engineering. So like last class I told you, so this is Greenhill paper actually. Okay. So this is a paper in 1881 you followed, right? So if you want to find out how much tall, say, okay, how much in nature also, how much tall you see a tree grows, you followed, right? Or even a human being or whatever, say. So all these problems also are related to, you see, the self buckling actually. Okay, so in nature also the things goes like this, and then the same thing can be adopted, you see, for our our columns kind of thing also. Okay, so now I say, so you would have seen this Green Hills the paper itself I showed you last class. So if you take a cantilever, say, he has done essentially for trees actually. Okay, so trees are modeled as the cantilever kind of a thing. So now let us say this is a deflection profile, say, of any tree here. So the coordinate system is, you see, we take coordinate system at the top actually, because Green Hill same derivation we are doing here. So your x is not at the fixed end, so your x is at the free end itself. Okay, so now if you take any cross section, say, okay, so if you take any cross section, so your equation of equilibrium, you see, so ei d square y by, you see, dx square. So this is your bending equation itself. So now here so you have to find out the moment here. So generally when the load is a distributed load actually, okay, because weight is distributed all around the column itself. So you would have studied in our mechanics of materials bending on diagram, when you have a UDL kind of a thing, say, you take at its centroid actual. Okay, so let us say the centroid is here and the center the x bar y bar. So if you denote this x bar y bar, say, okay, or the centroidal coordinates. Okay, so where the centroid is located. Okay, so now these and x and y anyway are your free coordinates. Okay, so these are the original your cantilever you see the coordinates itself. So if you try to write this equation of equilibrium, so you can write this as aw 0 to x y bar, say, this is your centroid minus y dx bar. So this is a centroidal coordinate system. Okay, so we are writing the bending moment at this section, you see, p. Now W is anyway, you see, the density of the steel or material. Okay, so density of the material, say, okay, and your A is anyway, you see, the area or whatever you have, say. So now this is how we write our equation of equilibrium actually in terms of your centroidal you see the coordinates. Okay, so y bar and x bar are nothing but with respect to centroid, and y anyway is with respect to the this deflection at this section P. Okay. So now the bending moment say. So now your bending moment is you see ei d square y by you see dx square. Yeah. So now this d square y by dx square already we have seen. This is the radius of curvature, and this comes if you neglect the higher order terms in the Taylor series actually. Okay. So in this Greenhill derivation, what he has done is he has directly written for slope itself. Okay. So d theta by dx itself. So he tried to include you see the higher order terms also in the Taylor series. So now you see, so this is our slope term e d theta by dx itself. And now if you write e into you see a k square say, okay, d theta by dx, where your moment of inertia is a times k square. A is the area, and your k is you see the radius of gyration. Okay. So now I is equal to a k square. So if you equate on both the sides, so you have ea k square say. Okay. So d theta by see dx. So this is equal to w, which is nothing but the density 0 to x. Now y bar I see minus y dx bar actually. So this is our basic case equation of equilibrium for a the tree under a tree, or maybe a cantilever column say buckling under its own weight. So a gets cancelled on both the sides. So now so this equation, to make it nicely, so if you differentiate on both the sides, okay, with respect to x. So with respect to x, if you differentiate, so now you see, so what happens? So e into k square. So this becomes a d square theta say by dx square kind of a thing. Now this integral is with respect to x bar, that is with respect to the centroidal coordinates. Okay. So this also turns out to be, you see, minus omega 0 to you see x. So dy by dx kind of a thing you have, because anyway y bar is centroidal coordinate. So dy bar by dx is equal to 0 actually itself. So dx bar. So this becomes like this. So now minus omega. So you can also write this expression as dy by dx is anyway the slope actually. Okay. So dx bar kind of a thing we write, and then you see if you write these things in a, and anyway this integral is with respect to x bar, whereas theta is nothing but you see dy by dx kind of a thing. So you can write this as w into x into, because it's a constant kind of thing say, the theta comes out, so you can write this as wx into theta. So now finally, so our equation becomes ek square d square theta by dx square plus w into x into theta is equal to 0. So this is our nicely, you see, you can write the equation of equilibrium for a column say buckling under its own weight itself. Okay. And now to make it but this if you see this equation is a a nonlinear ODE actually. Okay. Because your x comes here also, you followed, or you can also say that ODE with varying coefficients. So these type of ODEs are very difficult to solve actually. Okay, they are not like straightforward ODEs or something. So to make it when you are having a ODE with varying coefficients, say you remember some differential equations in mathematics where ODEs varying coefficients are there. Can anybody tell us? Where do you see these type of equations in mathematics? Varying coefficients kind of a thing. If you would have done that calculus courses, these complex variables and other things, you would have seen some special equations are there. So those type of equations you see comes here also. So to make it nicely, so we use a change of variables we do. Okay. So this equation, instead of writing in terms of theta, say, we do some change kind of a thing. So theta is equal to root x times z kind of a thing. And then we also introduce one more variable r, which is x to the power of 3 by 2. So you change the variables, so the derivatives and other things you calculate. So this equation, say, automatically, you see, it can be written as some r square d square z by dr square plus r into dz by dr plus you see 4 times w by 9e, okay, k square r square minus 1 by 9 times z is equal to 0. So you get a nice equation like this. So if you remember, so this equation say, so that is r square d square z by dr square plus r dz by dr. Now, so if you denote this expression as some kappa kind of a thing, Okay, so k square r square minus some n square into z is equal to 0. So where your n is equal to, you see, 1 by 3 kind of a thing, and your kappa term say. Okay, so this is, you see, 4 times w by 9e k square. Okay, and now what do you call this equation? Can anybody remember in mathematics? What is this? What is this special equation? Now, so in mathematics, this equation is a very, very special equation. What is this equation? See, nobody remembers this equation.
So Bessel's equation.
So yes, very good. So this is nothing but, you see, your Bessel's, ordinary differential equation actually. So this is how the equation looks for Bessel functions. So generally the solution of this equation, generally, we write in terms of harmonics, sine theta, then cos theta, sine omega t, cos omega t kind of a thing. That is, those are special equation. Now this equation is, you see, a Bessel's ordinary differential equation where the solution can be written in terms of Bessel functions actually. Okay, the not in terms of sine and cos kind of a thing. So now your z becomes, you see, a jn, that is a Bessel function. So this is your kappa times r plus b Bessel function minus nth order. Okay, so you have kappa times r. So this is a solution. See, generally ordinary ODE is say. So we write solution as, you see, a sine omega t plus b cos omega t kind of a thing, like in a dynamics or even for the columns, say, which we have seen previously. But since this is ordinary differential equation with the varying coefficients, then what happens is the solution cannot be written in terms of sine and cos. You have to write in terms of, you see, this Bessel functions actually. Okay, so this is our expression z. But what we are interested is, we are interested in theta actually. So now, you substitute z here, and if you write in terms of theta, so your theta, say, this becomes, this is square root of x a z 1 by 3, because n is 1 by 3. So your kappa, say, okay, x to the power of 3 by 2 uh, plus b j minus 1 by 3. So you have kappa x to the power of 3 by 2. Okay. So this is, so other terms, you see, we neglect here. So now, so now to find out these constants a and b. Okay, so now we have to use the boundary conditions itself. So now the boundary conditions say, now at the fixed end actually. Okay, so at the fixed end, that is x is equal to h. Okay, so if the h is the height of this column, say, so if you see this expression here now, so since our origin is at the top actually. Okay, so now at x is equal to h, say, so your slope is, 0, because it is a fixed end. So now this becomes at x is equal to, at the lowest, so theta is equal to 0 at x is equal to h. So this is one condition you have. Then at x is equal to 0, say, that means it is a free end. Okay, so bending moment is equal to 0. So which means, so x is equal to 0. So bending moment is related to, you see, your, the slope itself, both of, so d theta by dx, say. Okay, so this is equal to 0 at x is equal to 0. Okay, so if you substitute this expression, say, okay, at, theta is equal to 0, d theta by dx is equal to 0. So if you use this equation, you substitute this, your theta, so you can find out that a will be equal to 0 kind of a thing you have. So which means, your theta is, you can write this as, so your theta will be root of x, multiplied by your b j minus, 1 by 3, sorry, this 1 by 3 kappa x to the power of, you see, 3 by 2. So this one. So now if you use the second condition, say, that is, theta is equal to 0 at x is equal to h actually. So which automatically, you see, you can say that b into, j minus 1 by 3 your kappa h to the power of 3 by 2 is equal to 0. Okay, so which means, for trivial solutions, say, b is equal to 0 means it is a trivial case. So if a and b both of them are 0, so then it is a trivial solution. So now for non-trivial solutions, say, okay, so if it has to be a non-trivial solution, so your Bessel function has to be equal to 0. So k, this kappa h to the power of 3 by 2, say. So this has to be equated to 0. So this equation is same as, sine kl is equal to 0, like that. You see, we get for this, the columns. previously, without the self-buckling kind of a thing. So now the only difference between the self-buckling and ordinary loads say. So in ordinary loads, you have like this, sine KL is equal to 0, like this we have used to get, or tan KL into tan KL by 2 you followed, it is equal to kind of a things we have, transcendental equations. Now when there is a self-buckling say, okay, so only difference is, you see, more everything will be same. Only problem is because here you are having a nonlinear ODE with varying coefficients. So instead of writing in terms of sine, so you get, you see, the Bessel functions actually. So if these Bessel functions will be 0, so the only problem is sine is very easy to solve, like n pi by 2, all kinds of things. We know the zeros of this sinusoid, but for Bessel functions say, you have to find out these roots actually. So when it will be 0, generally the Bessel functions, you see, they will be something like this sometimes, and they will be like this actually. Okay, so you have to find out these roots. It also will be having several infinite type of roots are there, but we have to find out the first root, because the first root will give you the lowest buckling load. Okay, so you have to find out the root. So if you denote this root of this Bessel function say as some constant c, okay, if it is c, so which means your c is, you see, your kappa h to the power of, you see, 3 by 2 kind of a thing. So we, which implies, you see, your h actual, the height of for self buckling cells. So c by, you followed, right, k to the power of, you see, 2 by 3 you have. And if you substitute kappa also, so you will get, you see, 9e k square c square by 4w to the power of, you see, 1 by 3 kind of a thing. So this is how, you see, you have to find out the height here. So now for Bessel function say of the first root is generally, you see, for this j1 by 3. Okay, I think j1 minus 1 by 3. So this function, the first root turns out to be, something around, you see, 1.88 actually. So which means, c to the power of 2 by 3 is 1.52. So which means your h critical, that's the critical height of your column say, is 1.52. So you substitute and then do this one. So 9e, you see, r square, or sorry, 9e k square, your radius of gyration, by using 4 times w whole to the power of 1 by 3 actual. So this is a critical height actual. So your column, this is a critical height. So if it exceeds this critical height say, definitely the column is going to buckle actually. Okay, so this tells you the bound on your height. Okay, the maximum height a tree can grow, or you see a column actually. Okay, grow, or you followed, right, a column you can build without buckling under its own weight itself. Okay, so now here the k is anyway your radius of gyration. So now for circular cross section say, what is the radius of gyration? Now can anybody tell us for circular cross section, so what is the radius of gyration? See, for circular cross section, okay, so you can easily find out a into k square say, okay, the area of a circle, that is a pi r square kind of a thing, and radius of gyration. So your moment of inertia for circle is pi r to the power of 4 by 4. So you followed, right, so which turns out to be radius of gyration is nothing but, you see, r by 2 kind of a thing. So if you write in terms of the radius say, so your critical buckling load, so you, after you substitute and all those 9 and 16 if you remove, so you can write this expression as e r square by w to the power of 1 by 3. Okay, so this is our critical, the height of a column actual. Okay, so now for a pine tree say, so this in Greenhill's paper it is there, so he has automatically calculated. So if you are having a pine tree, okay, so because this fellow wrote the paper in 1881, during that time, you see, British that LB, pound, PSI, those things, KSI, the units are slightly, you see, different in his paper actually. Okay, nowadays we are using SI system, but in those days, because he's a Britisher, there is conventions were slightly different. So if you take this Young's modulus for a pine tree, he has calculated 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, some KSI units, I think these are all. And your W, so the density is, some 0.6 into 62.5 by 12 cube. So these are all conversions actually. So 37.5 by 12 cube, some LB, inch cube or something, you see, he has actually. Okay, the units are slightly different. And if the diameter say, of the tree, okay, so if the diameter of the tree is, you see, 6 inches, so which means, you see, your radius is 3 inches, Now you substitute, say Young's modulus, you know, W, you know, 3 inches, you know. So now you substitute in this expression. So all the terms are there. You substitute here, say you will get your critical buckling load as, you see, 89.45, you see, feet itself actually. Okay. So like you see, if you are having a tree, say which has 6 inches diameter, now you know, to avoid this self buckling, say, so this tree can grow up to, you see, 89.45 feet actually. Okay. So this is how he computed, you know, your you know, the how much maximum height a tree can grow, or how much maximum height you can build a column kind of a thing. Now if you take a simple steel wire, say, okay, so if you take a steel wire for self buckling actually, let us say for steel also, you see, some 31, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he has given in terms of other British units. Okay, so no need to worry. So W is, you see, 7.8 into 62.5 by 12 cube. So this converts into some LB or something like that. Okay, so LB per you know, inch cube kind of a thing he has. And if the diameter of your wire, say, so if the diameter of the wire is you know, 1 by 10 inches. So now if you try to find out the critical weight and height actual, how much the steel wire can, you know, you can build a steel wire. So this turns out to be 6.81 feet actual. Okay. So this is how you can calculate, you see, the critical, you see, the buckling loads. Now even you can calculate how much tall, you see, a human being can grow also. So only thing is you should know the Young's modulus, and you should know this W, and easily, you know, how much fat that fellow is. Okay. So if the radius is very, this one, say, followed, right, so how much height he can grow, so you can easily, you see, compute from this expression. Okay, so this is a very famous formula given by this Greenhill, which is widely used in geology and many other you know, the calculations, not only in geology, even in civil engineering also you followed, right? So when you are building any column, say, so the first thing is, you know, how much height is required for it self buckling itself. So this gives you some kind of an estimate. Now, general in civil engineering, what happens? We build columns. Not only these columns has to support its weight also, but it also should carry the load, you know, which comes from the you know, the beams and the slabs itself. So it's you know, the diameter has to be very followed, right? More actual, not only just the self buckling. Okay, so this is a very, very important, this is the derivation he has given. So now in his paper, say, he has also given you know, a column, say, okay, he has found out a column, you see, carrying you know, some other weight also, weight at the top. So this also derivation he has given, so you can you know, go through. So the derivation becomes, you see, so ei k square d theta by dx, same expressions remain same, w a 0 to x. So you have y bar minus y, which are in the terms of centroidal coordinates, dx bar, plus if you are having a weight at the top, say, so W into, you see, AL, you know, some delta minus Y he has given, where delta is nothing but, you see, your deflection at the top, the maximum, because it's a cantilever. Now, so if you see this, so this is a delta. So you are having extra load also here at the top. So then, you know, so you will get extra terms. So now apart from self buckling, so you also have to carry the load at the top. So this also, you see, you can add. So the same differential equation is valid, but you have to add one extra term, that is this term actually. Okay, so WA into L. So he has done the derivation also. You can go through his paper actually. Okay, so this also is there. Now, if you want to increase the height, say, okay, so if you want to increase the height of a column also, the only way is, how do we increase the height of the column? If you want to increase, what is the way, alternate way? See now, like for example, for a diameter of a steel wire actual, okay, so we can find out the 6.81 feet is the, you know, for self buckling actual. Okay, now if I want to increase in height, the only way, if you want to increase in height and if you want to avoid self buckling, so the only way is you follow, right, you have to go for, you know, these tapered sections actually, like you see the pyramids. See pyramids, what happens? You know, they're all tapered kind of a thing. That's why they were able to build up to that much height. Suppose you can't build a pyramid, you know, like a square kind, you know, like you followed, right? Like a cube kind of a thing, cuboid kind of a thing. It buckles under its own weight. So if you want to grow tall, your width at the base also has to increase actually. Okay, so these are tapered sections. So here also, you see, here in this paper, he has given a derivation. So you are having a tapered section, say. So at the bottom, you know, it's like a cone kind of a thing. Okay, just like a pyramid. So now if B is the radius, say, at the bottom. and if h is, you see, the height actual of this tapered section. Okay, so this is a critical height, say. So once again, you see, you can do the, he has given the equations of equilibrium, and so for this one, so for this tapered section he has given, so its area is slightly different, so d theta by dx, say. Okay, so this becomes pi times w, same expression, only thing is it is a tapered, so y bar minus you see y r bar square dx bar actual. Okay, so because the radius itself is changing, so this goes like this, and if this r is x tan alpha, say. Okay, so alpha is the angle, you see, which you can measure. So now the equation of equilibrium also he has given in his paper. So the equation of equilibrium, you see, is something like this. So x square d square theta by dx square plus 4x, say, d theta by dx plus 4 times w. Okay, so 3e tan square alpha x times theta is equal to 0, and your tan alpha is you see, your b by h. Okay, and finally here this also you can write in terms of Bessel's function, Bessel's function itself, and you can find out the first root, say. Okay, and finally in his paper, you see, he has given the critical height of a tapered section. So this was something 7.63 times e by w tan square alpha, and your critical, so if you do some algebra, so tan alpha is equal to b by h, so 807.9 b to the power of 2 by 3. So this is your critical buckling load. So this is a very a famous formula actually. Okay, this I think he has substituted for pine tree, the Young's modulus and w, say, he gets an expression like this. And if you take, say, okay, so if you take r is equal to 3 inches, the same you followed, right? The six previously also it was a 3 inch, or we have taken a pine tree, you followed, right? The radius was 3 inches, the maximum height it can go was, you see, 89.45 feet. Now same thing, say, if you are having a pine tree, now only thing is it is a tapered section actual, and the same radius at the bottom, then your HCR turns out to be, you see, 300 feet actual. So you can see here, so if you want to grow in the height, say, okay, so if you want to increase the height without self buckling, say, you have to increase the base also, you followed, right? Like so this is a very famous formula. So this is something like, you see, your H criticals is proportional to, you see, your b to the power of 2 by 3 kind of a thing. So if you want to increase, you have to do this width is this one. See, like for example, all of this Burj Dubai, right? So everybody talks about its height. They say that, you see, the Burj Dubai is the tallest building, 1 kilometer height or something like that, they say. But if you want to construct a building for 1 kilometer high, say, okay, so just imagine its base also has to be, so your b 2 by 3. So if you put in these terms of like this, so HCR, say, 3 by 2 times actual the base also. This is only to avoid, you see, the self buckling kind of a thing. Plus if you add additional weight, it has to carry that building or something like that, you can see the width also should be more. So that is how you see the pyramids and many things, you see, you follow it comes into picture. So this is a very famous thing. Formula is, it's a 3 by 2 or this a 2 by 3 kind of thing, say, okay, where if you want to construct a tallest building, so you should be able to establish, you see, how much should be the base actual. Okay, so like you can easily calculate Himalayas, you followed any mountain, say, how much, like Mount Everest actual, okay, how much height it can grow. It keeps on increasing, it will touch the sky or something like that. If you want to calculate, you can calculate this one. And if you find out, you see, your Mount Everest base is also, width is also extremely high to support, you see, that much height itself. Okay, so this is a very fundamental derivation, very important thing in self buckling. Okay, fine. So now the same thing, for distributed loads also, you see, your thing is there, which is done by this Euler. Okay, so he also calculated for all types of columns. Okay, he also given this expression. So same equation of motion remains, everything remains, you see, perfectly same actual. So if you take a same cantilever, say, okay, so now instead of talking in terms of this one, so he says, okay, so the load is like this. You can use for weight also, for generalized case also he has done. Okay, so this is a q per unit length. and L is the length of the columns. Everything remains the same, the equation of motion also. And now previous case, origin was at the top. If you can take at the top or you can take at the bottom, just to have a free kind of a thing, so we'll take at the bottom. So y, so what happens when you take at the top, say your bending moment becomes p times y actual. When you take with the origin at the bottom, say, so then it becomes, you see, L minus x, you followed it, all those things comes into picture. So if you write your equation of equilibrium, same, ei d square y by dx square. So now you see, because your origin is from the bottom, so if you take any cross section, say, okay, and if you try to write the bending moment diagram, you see, so x into L, so your load is q, and your centroidal coordinates y bar minus y d x bar actually, where your x bar and y bar, say, they are nothing but your centroidal coordinates. Both are same. Whatever I wrote
Sir,
previous.
x and y
Please.
should be interchanged, right?
Which one?
X is along the axis and y is lateral deflection.
Sorry. I think I made a mistake. Sorry. Yes, I think y is here, x is here. I am sorry. Okay, I think you are right. So now you followed it. So the same equation actually, x bar and y bar are centroidal axis. So now your q is a load per unit length kind of a thing. So now I see if you differentiates on both the sides, same like whatever we did previously, d cube y by dx cube. So this becomes minus q L minus x dy by dx. Because y bar centroidal coordinates, the derivative becomes the zero kind of a thing. So the same concept, whatever we did previously, same thing we are doing. So you differentiate, okay, by x on both the sides. So you will get this third order ODE, and if you differentiate once again, say, by x on both the sides, once again if you do, so then you can directly write in terms of a load kind. So EI d to the power of 4y, or you can also write this as d square by dx square, d square y by dx square plus, so this q you can bring this side in, so q becomes like this. So this q becomes, and your L minus x becomes, so d by dx x, sorry, this one. So this becomes this, so q d by dx, say, okay, x into, you see, dy by dx. So this is our basic, you see, equation of equilibrium for a column under a distributed load. It can be anything, okay, it can be its own weight or it can be its own derivation also, okay. So now to do this calculation, say, just say that now the derivation becomes same as the previous paper. So you have to write in terms of Bessel's ODE kind of a thing. So you have to do some substitutions like previously we did, right? Theta is equal to root x into z, then your r we introduced, and then we wrote this one. So here also the same thing you have to do, same whatever we did previously, everything is perfectly fine. Only thing is we have just changed the origin, that's all. So you would indicate a new variable, say z 2 by 3 q by ei L minus x whole cube actually. Same, whatever previously we did, same thing. So you can obtain this, and your u, you would indicate another variable which is dy by dz kind of a thing. So you will get, once again the Bessel's equation only, plus 1 by z, so du by dz, plus same concept, 1 minus p square by z square into u is equal to 0. So once again you will get, you see, same Bessel's the ordinary differential equation. So your solution you have to write in terms of Bessel's functions, and finally the first root of the Bessel function you have to do, or it depends on the boundary conditions. If it is a cantilever, you use something. If it is simply supported, so you will get something. So based on that, you see, you can calculate the load. So now for a cantilever column, say, okay, you can do the critical load actually, that is QL, okay. So this turns out to be 7.837 EI by L square, okay, for the distributed load. Now for if it is a pin column, so simply supported, so if it is simply supported, say, the critical load, okay, so this turns out to be 18.6 EI by L square actually, okay. So like this, based on variety of the boundary conditions, say, okay, so you can derive, the critical buckling loads. See now for other boundary conditions, say, okay. So now you see, so if it is a fixed. Now, so QL's critical buckling load, okay, for distributed load it is. So this turns out to be 74.6 EI by you see L square. And if it is fixed at one end and pinned actually at other end, so then your critical loads QL of CR say. So this turns out to be some 52.5 EI by L square. Okay, so these were the formulas you see given by Euler actually. Okay, by deriving, but the derivation is exactly same. So this derivation say, okay, this is not available in the some books only it is available, but the detailed things are in this Greenhill's paper. So I suggest all of you to go through this paper and whatever we have done in the class right now to understand you see the Bessel functions and how we derived this Bessel's ODE, and then you followed it. How did we arrive at these roots and then you see the critical heights? Okay, so this way you can find out. So Euler's thing is something like much more general. It is not only the weight, but it can be any type of a distributed load. So this is the very important formulas you see for this self-buckling. Okay. So all of you just please remember this equation. So if somebody asks you, say, if you can you write the equation of equilibrium, say, for column under its buckling kind of a thing. So this is the equation of the equilibrium actually. Okay, for a generalized case, you can derive this one. So fine. So these are the very important things which we have learned. You see the self-buckling kind of a thing. So now before I see yesterday's class, you see somebody asked that if it is, I think the pressure is there, how do we solve kind of a thing. So before we just close, see somebody asked like last class, I don't know who name, the lateral, distributed load, lateral disturbing load or whatever. We had a discussion also. We had a column like this. A simply supported column. So somebody was asking, you see, you have a load here, which is a lateral, it's a load kind of a thing, and you have P, then you have P. What is the buckling load of this column? You followed. So somebody asked, right, wind pressure, or it can be anything like this for a tall building, or you followed, right, whatever kind of a things. So how do we calculate the buckling loads for this kind of cases? Okay, so now as already I told you, our equation of equilibrium remains you followed, right, the your EI you see y double dash you followed it plus P times you see y this one. So the bending moment here. Now what happens is if this the lateral load was not there, then we write you followed it is equal to 0 kind of a thing. But now here because this lateral load is not 0, so the problem here is you see your right hand side you will be having a bending moment diagram actually. So this bending moment diagram you followed, right, maybe you see something like this or whatever variety of shapes you will be having bending moment diagrams. Okay, and they are varying with respect to x itself. So now this equation say, okay, so if you write nicely, so y double dash you followed it k square y itself is you see your m naught x say by ei kind of a thing. So this is your differential equation. Okay, so now how do you solve this type of a problem? So you can have a complicated bending moment diagram. Suppose if the load was a UDL, then the bending moment diagram will see something like this actually. Okay, so if the load is complicated and the load is not acting at other places, different variety, some concentrated load, variety cases. So what happens is your bending moment diagrams, it will be different variety shapes will come. Okay, so now what do we do? Like in last class I already told you. So if you are having any this type of complicated shapes, okay, so how do you solve these type of shapes? The same concept which we used previously to solve this initially bent column. Okay, last class we already did. So whenever there is a column, if it is not crookedness, we have discussed here. So if the column is a variety, this one says. So the best way to solve a ODE is you expand in terms of the Fourier series. So same concept we use here. So your bending moment diagram say, you can expand in terms of the Fourier series kind of a thing where n is equal to 1 to infinity. So some q naught say, okay, sine you see n pi x by l. Okay, so any shape or any complicated shape of bending moment can be expressed in terms of Fourier series. Now, why we have taken sine? Fourier series means you will be having sine term, cos term also. Why we have taken the sine term here is you can take sine or cos also depending on the boundary conditions. For simply supported beam, say at both these supports, you all of right, the bending moment and you see that has to be 0. So this term only satisfies actually. Cos doesn't satisfy. Suppose if you are working with fixed or cantilever kind of a thing, so then instead of sine you may have to write cos, or if you don't know anything, so you substitute sine and cos and automatically some terms may get 0 itself. Okay, so the first thing is you expand Fourier series. You followed, right? So you expand your bending moment diagram in terms of a Fourier series expansion. Not only bending moment, if it is a crooked column, say there also we did the same way. And now all of right, in the Fourier series, the coefficient Q naught is it. So this you have to find out. Sorry. So this is Q naught actual. Okay, that is a coefficient of this Fourier series. Now, so you can write Q naught is equal to 2 0 to L your m of x or your m naught of x sine n pi x by L dx actually. So these are your Fourier coefficients, and dx by I think 1 by L also is there. Okay, so this is how you will obtain the Fourier coefficient. So this is the must actually. Okay, so now since the load are now this is our ordinary differential equation. Okay, so where your right hand side is expressed in terms of Fourier series. So when the right hand side is in terms of Fourier series, the solution also can be written in terms of the Fourier series itself. So your y of x say, okay, so this also you can write this as n is equal to 1 to infinity. So your small q I am writing here. So qn sine n pi x by L. So the solution also we write in terms of the Fourier series, because your right hand side is also in terms of Fourier series, solution also. So you substitute say, okay, so you substitute so you substitute this q of y of x. Yeah. So you substitute y of x, then your m naught of x say in that ODE, and then you solve it. Okay. So automatically you will get a nice equation, sigma n is equal to 1 to infinity k square qn minus n pi by L whole square qn minus capital Q naught by EI. Of course, Q naught will be having a n, okay, because the Fourier terms are there, multiplied by sine n pi x by L is equal to 0. So this comes from your equation of equilibrium. Okay, so this so this n is here also. That's the Fourier coefficient. Okay. So now this sine n, this is our equation of equilibrium actual. Okay, if we substitute here. So now because it has to be we are trying to find out the buckling loads or something. So our unknown is the small q of n actual. Okay, so this if you equate it to 0 say. Okay, so this portion. So if you equate it to 0, so you can calculate your qn as after all those q naught n by p minus n square p, where PE we use this Euler's buckling load EI pi square EI by L square. Okay, so this is the load we get, and if you want to write this in a nice fashion, say, so this bit turns out to be sorry. So now first one, okay. Yes. So now this is how we write this QNs are there here. So now if the initial deflection say, okay, so now already because of this buckling, we are having your initial deflection here y naught of x. So that is for when p is equal to 0. So before the axial load is acting, because of this lateral load say, okay, so if you take this p as 0 here, so if P is 0 say, so already your column is bent actual, okay, because of this because of the deflection which comes from your lateral load. Okay, so if you denote that as some y naught of x itself, okay, when P is equal to 0, so you can write this q naught actual, okay, of n, that is minus q naught n by n square Pe kind of a thing. Okay, from this expression itself you will get. So now your qn So you can write in terms of Q naught n, that is initial deflection, how this one, divided by 1 by 1 minus, you see, P by, you see, your PE. You followed. So you will get a nice expression like this actually. So your Q naught n is nothing but the deflection, okay, due to the lateral load. You followed. So this gets, you see, the amplified actual. So now what happens is, because when the load is applied, so when the axial load is applied, so this gets amplified. So this quantity, say, we call this as you see, the amplifying factor, or magnification factor also. So this is also known as a magnification factor. You followed. So this also it comes. And now previously we have solved, I think you remember this, what is that? This eccentric also. If you remember this, eccentric kind of a column, that's initial crookedness. So if you see the derivation, you see, previously we have already done this derivation for crookedness. What was the expression? Anybody remember? The total deflection. You remember we wrote, y total as, you see, the initial deflection actual, that is a y naught plus y kind of a thing. So this was also some v naught. We have derived for sine pi x by 1 minus, you see, alpha kind of a thing we wrote. And this was, if you write this as the maximum deflection, say, so sine pi x by L goes away, so finally, sorry. So this we wrote as, you see, v naught, the maximum deflection, so 1 minus p by, you see, pe kind of a thing. So maximum, you see, of your y total. You follow. And v naught was our initial deflection. So this also, so v naught, you see, 1 by 1 minus, you see, p by pe. You followed. So this was for the crookedness actually. Now if you compare these two, say, what is that, we try to this one. So if you compare for the lateral load, and if you compare for crookedness, say, both the expressions are exactly same to same actually. You followed. So there also we used a Fourier series expansion. Here also we are using a Fourier series expansion. So when there is a lateral load is same as, your column is initially bent itself. Okay, both the derivations are perfectly, you followed, right? Exactly same to same kind of a thing you have. Okay, and then when you have done in our lab, say, so based on this you would have done the Southwell plot also. You remember, all of you would have done in the lab. So this also, you see, comes from the same derivation itself, you see. So y total, say, okay, this, oh sorry, so this y total, so the maximum value you followed, right? So v naught, that is a y total is, you see, y naught plus y kind of a thing. So you can write this expression as, you see, v naught plus y, v naught by, you see, 1 minus p by, you see, pe kind of a thing. Then you see, y by p, say, okay, is equal to v naught by, you see, pe plus, you see, y by, you see, PCR kind of a thing. I think something is missing, right? Just 1 second. 1 by PCR. So sorry, this one here by PCR. Then this becomes yes. So this is the equation, you see, which comes from just by doing some algebra. So this portion we have just tried to manipulate, say, okay, by some doing algebra. So you will have an equation like this actual. Okay, so where so this equation is something like you followed. So this pi is also same here. So this is a PE kind of a thing, and your PE is the pi square EI by L square. Okay, so this equation is something like you followed. So if you write it nicely, so this means, so y is your deflection here actually. Okay, so y is your deflection here, and there's a P is there. So this is how the Southwell plot. So it is something like, you see, y is equal to ax mx plus c kind of a thing. So this is your the intercept actually. You followed. So this is your intercept here, and this one you followed, right? The slope of your equation. So generally, you see in labs, to find out, you would have done in a double angle, single angle cross sections, say, okay. So you would have plotted, the graph like this. So you plot, this double y here, and here you plot, you see, y by p kind of a thing. So the data points will be something like this in the lab, okay. So when you plot, when you fit a straight line here, say, so the slope of this line will give you see, 1 by, you see, the buckling load, okay. Whereas, this intercept, say, it will give you this, the crookedness. You followed. So this is how, you see, we try to do in Southwell plot itself. So now the most important thing here is when you're having, you see, this lateral load, say, so the derivation is exactly same as your Fourier series, and it exactly, most of the same to same as crookedness also. Even the curvature, say, that is, that eccentricity in the load also can be written in terms of these expressions, okay. So fine, so I will stop here. Let us go back. Yeah. So now I see. So we'll stop our this